How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you a little farm I came up with for farming some guardians. A lot of the farms I ever saw online on YouTube and things were pretty daunting to build. Like Kelping's farm, it's really great, gets really great rates, but it's just so massive. And I just wanted to make something that was a little simpler. So just to start us out, you're gonna create a little 11 by 11 soul sand ring right here at the edge of one of the guardian temples that you find, your ocean monuments that you find. Then you're gonna go up here and you're gonna put 3.5 blocks going up around the edge of this, so there should be a 13 by 13 area. The top block, the bottom slabs will prevent mobs from spawning on there to improve your rates of guardian spawning within here. And we're going to be AFKing up about 120 blocks in the year, so all this will be our only spot that guardians can spawn. So it'll help out the rates of the farm. So let's get cracking on with it. Next, what you want to do is you want to put some waterlogged top half slabs in here on the edge. And what we're going to do with these is we're going to play with, like, kind of mess with the water mechanics a little bit, if you will. And we're going to have some water source blocks pushing in from the edges towards the center. And by putting in half slabs, we don't have to replace the water block here, because this half slab is actually waterlogged, but water can also flow over this half slab. So I'll get back to you guys whenever I've completed that. Okay, so now we've got all this half slabbed in here. All these are top half slabs. But now we're going to find the center here, and we're going to go ahead and make the startings of our central platform, just to go ahead and have that marked out so we know where our water sources actually need to go. Okay, so here I've marked out the center 9 blocks, and what I'm going to do here, and it is kind of a controversial decision, if you will, but I'm going to place in some blue ice here to help mobs that get pushed into this area, to just have other mobs push them along. I do realize that this will affect your spawning rates, and if you test this yourself, you may find that getting rid of this ice here will actually improve the rates, but this is just the way I did it. Okay, then you're going to go ahead and place stacked fence gates on top of the central block on each side, facing inward. Then we're going to go ahead and open all these up. We'll come back to this block later, but for future reference, this will end up becoming a soul sand block. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put in our water sources here to get the water flowing towards the center here. Okay, so now you're going to add in some blocks in the corners using this little formation here. That just helps the water all kind of get pushed towards the center here. Alright, so now you're going to actually add in your water source blocks. You go ahead and start adding them in up here. So after you place a water source block on top of each of these little 6-block corners here, you're actually going to see that all the water is flowing towards the center. And so now what you can do is break away these blocks. Okay, now after you've broken away all the corner sets of blocks, you can go ahead and remove the center platform if you want to, or we can go ahead and build the rest of the farm. I'm going to go ahead and build the rest of the farm because in survival, that's going to be your easiest bet, and it's actually going to yield, make it safer for you to build this, so the guardians aren't just flying up and getting stuck here and zapping you while you're in the air here. So we're going to go ahead and crack on with that. So what you're going to do is you're going to add a set of glass panes on top of these. You started on top of one of these fence gates and just continued around this little 3x3 circle here. And the reason you use glass panes instead of glass blocks is because it's going to give the Guardians just a little bit more room to get pushed up. So you're going to have a soul sand block here in the center, and it's going to have a water column pushing up. But if the Guardians just kind of get halfway into it like this, they're going to go ahead and get pushed up, and they have the room to go because of these blocks. So I would highly recommend doing it like this. Now we're going to take this glass pane column up about, let's say, 60 blocks, so that we can have the Guardians get pushed up and then fall down in a little area over here. So I'm going to get to doing that. Okay, once you get up here to this level, I've come up about 50 blocks off the sea level. It's more than you need to come, but I do it because it's not super technical, and I just know this will give a drop that's long enough to kill the Guardians. But once you get up here, you're going to put in a solid block back here, and that way you'll be able to place a water source. And you're also going to go ahead and slab this off here. So we'll go ahead and put that there like that, and you're going to bring this out 8 blocks, so your water source is it's going as far as it'll stretch. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, once you place in this little row of blocks here, you're going to need to fill in these sides with glass panes. Just go along the edges, so that way water can't go off the edge here. So now I'll go ahead and get that taken care of. Okay, so now that you've got this taken care of, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and you can get rid of this block now, and go ahead and place your last little glass pane here to keep the water from going out the back. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to break this block, and this water is going to drop me down to that ice level right there. Let me go ahead and set our time to day. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to want to break this block once you have this little 8. Okay, now what you want to do is break this block right here, and what's going to happen is water is going to fall all the way down to that ice block. But what we're going to do is put in kelp all the way up to the surface so that we can make all of these water source blocks. And this is pretty survival friendly, and that's the reason I built this. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, I'm going to fall down in this water stream so that I can plant the kelp block starting from the ice. One of the kind of fun things about kelp is that you can actually plant kelp on top of any block. So this is pretty useful. Okay, now we're going to build the drop chamber. It's pretty similar to this. We're just going to take it around this little 3x3 grid with panes on the other side. But we're only going to go down about 40, maybe 45 blocks. We'll see whenever we get to that part, so cracking on with it. Okay, once you've got the column that they're going to drop down through here in, you're going to come down here to the bottom, and where I've got these top half slabs, I'm just going to go ahead and break those out. Okay, and just as a little FYI, the Guardians actually do have to fall about 32 blocks before they die. So I don't really remember how far this is. I just know it's more than 32, so the Guardians will definitely die on impact here. What we're going to do now, though, is break out these 2 blocks here. Go ahead and put in a double chest for your starter little storage system. And now we're going to break out these top half slabs here and add in some hoppers so that they die on impact with the hoppers here. Let's see. Okay, so at the bottom of your drop chute, you're going to come down here. It's about and by the way, guys, Guardians have to fall about 32 blocks before they die, so this will work for your drop chute. When the Guardians fall, their drops will be collected in these hoppers and put into this particular chest. I would highly recommend building a pretty big storage system for all your drops here, and really making a automatic item sorter to go ahead and sort through everything, because this thing is going to put out a ton of cod, a ton of prismarine crystals and shards. It's going to be, you're going to get a lot of drops out of this thing. So I would highly recommend doing the item sorter, but there are several videos on YouTube already explaining how to build item sorters, so I won't touch on that. They are very simple to build, I will say that. And one thing you'll want to do here is go ahead and make this block right here unspawnable, so you want to add a carpet to that block. Let's see. Orange is pretty enough, we'll use orange. Alright. Now with that carpet in, this area is unspawnable. The reason the other blocks are unspawnable is because obviously the glass panes are already taken up on top of these blocks, so nothing can spawn there because there's already an entity taking up that block. But yeah, so now we can go ahead and see the farm in action by getting rid of these blocks and AFKing about 120 blocks up in the air. Oh, yeah, sorry about that, guys. So I've broken out the platform down there that had all the top half slabs on it, and you see that there are actually already guardians that are getting pushed in here. I'm low enough right now that guardians are spawning inside the ocean monument, but it's not the easy way to, you know, avoid this. For one, we need to go ahead and break that out. Okay, guys, sorry. So I realized after I went up here to AFK that I forgot to put the thing to cover this up, and the only reason you want to cover this up is because the Guardians are going to have some serious momentum coming out of this thing, and they have a tendency to bounce all around. So we're going to go ahead and make this glass pane little section here 3 blocks high to give them room to bounce up and down. And as more Guardians come along, they'll push the others down this chute and let them die. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you how it looks. Okay, and now that you can see that I've got this glass pane section three panes high, I'm going to go ahead and add a roof to it because they still can somehow bounce out sometimes. And where these are glass panes, some of these guardians are going to kind of bug out of the panes and just fall back down into the water. It's not going to affect your rates too much, but I have seen it happen. And the reason you slab this off in bottom slabs is so nothing can spawn up here. So just so you don't have to worry about, you know, zombies and skeletons ruining your spawn rates just by spawning up here on top of this little platform. It's safe to go ahead and cover this up. Okay, and now that we have this covered up, you can already see I'm not even so high up that I'm only spawning guardians in this little area, but you can see that it's already outputting a lot of guardians. I'm going to go ahead and build a little AFK platform up here, pretty high up, so that you can kind of see how far up that is and things of that nature. And then you can really see, you can get a good idea of just how many drops you're going to collect from this farm. Okay, so here we are at my little quick make AFK platform that I put way too much effort into. But yeah, as you can see, it's here at y equals 181. And so if we just kind of shift over and crouch on this edge here, you can look and see inside this little area that there are tons of guardians spawning. And you can also see there are a bunch still outside of this area. So what you'll find is that if you actually AFK a little bit higher, you've already eliminated that. You can see the guardians are only really spawning. Let's see. Yeah, I'd say a better AFK platform would be to build exactly this at like 187, 186. That's just, you're going to get more spawns within here, and they're not going to be taking up spawning areas outside of this little square. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of spawns, but you can see it's pretty productive, and it's a lot faster to build this than it would have been, you know, that big cup vent. No hit on cup vents, no. So yeah, you can see that this is getting some pretty good spawn rates, and it's pretty easy to build. It's not a daunting build like a lot of the Guardian farms I've seen on YouTube, and that's really the reason I came up with this in the first place. It was an easy farm that I didn't really want to drain the Guardian farm, and then I ended up draining it after I did this, but that's besides the point. But yeah, it's pretty simple to build, pretty easy, and it gets lots of drops. So if we talk about rates, okay guys, so these are the drops after just 5 minutes AFKing up there. You can see it's very, very productive. You will get random ink sacs in every now and then, because the squids can spawn inside this area, that bubble column below, but they're not going to be spawning near the rate the Guardians will. And like I said, if you plan on AFKing at this for more than, you know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you're going to want to build a pretty beefy storage system. And even if that storage system is just extending the hoppers down below this chest and, you know, building 6 double chests out of this and just operating them all like that, that works fine. But yeah, that's so yeah, that's all I've got. Yep, so there we go. Pretty easy, pretty effective farm. Very, very survival friendly. It's very quick and simple to build, and I think whenever I actually built this in survival, it didn't take me more than an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. You know, building this in creative obviously just took me like 40 minutes, but it was it's a pretty easy build. So I'd highly recommend making this a thing, making it work in your world, and so yeah. If you got any questions, go ahead and put it in the comment section below. As far as rates in this farm, whenever I'd AFK on my survivor world using this farm, I'd get about 8,500 items per hour, and it's pretty typical too. It's a pretty good rate for this farm. And you know, you can build some of the really big ones and get much better rates, but this is just so easy that it's just so much easier than building one of those huge Guardian farms, and the rates are pretty comparable. You know, you can AFK at this overnight, and you're gonna have far more stuff than you need. I've managed to fill up a double chest of sea lanterns and a double chest of prismarine blocks in no time, like after one AFK session. So, but yeah, if you have any questions, put it in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. Thanks, guys.